Good morning. It's day 3. Another gorgeous day on the ocean. Nothing in sight. A few nice cumulus clouds. What do they say? Your worst day on the ocean is better than your best day in the office. Boy, do I believe that. So here we are. We're wing on wing. The main has got one reef in it. And we do that because up at the top of the mast, the mainsail doesn't have any support from shrouds and flexes the mast quite a lot when if we're wing on wing with full mainsail. So by having one reef in the main, we've got the top of the mast pretty well supported up there from the shrouds. And then the jib is on the windward side, and we're achieving that because the mainsail is projecting its breeze onto the jib and keeping it out. And what we do is we use the lazy jib sheet onto an outboard lead going to the outside between the rails, and then some figure of eights, but no locking eights because that can really get jammed up. And we sail the most comfortable way you can sail across the ocean. The other significant thing is that we set the boat to an apparent wind angle of 162, and that is pretty much my optimum setting for being wing on wing. And the final thing is that I take this setup only from a minimum of 14 knots true wind speed. At less than 14 knots true wind speed, there's not enough pressure in the sails to keep the situation stable. So at less than 14 knots true wind speed, our options would either be just the spinnaker, as we had yesterday, or we'd go broad reaching, as we did the day before. I saw my first flying fish today. Normally, I'd expect to see them when the water gets to a minimum of 21 degrees. And at the moment, the water temperature is 21.79. It'll be a few days before we really see hordes of them flying in front of the boat. But there we are, they'll come. Good evening. It's the sunset watch now. Unfortunately, with all this cloud that we have, it's not going to be very much of a sunset, and we probably won't see much in the way of stars, unlike last night, which was an absolutely brilliant night for looking at stars. We've just had supper, and it was my turn to cook. I made ossobuco with saffron risotto, one of my favorite dishes. Earlier today, We jibed because we were going a bit too far west and needed to come more south. We're putting ourselves in lighter winds over to the west. So we're heading 223, 220, and that's taking us on a nice course. 2,200 miles, 2,288 miles to Guadeloupe, so we've got a little way to go. But it's all very pleasant. And temperature of the water is 21.9, and so that's the sort of temperature that we can expect tonight sitting outside, apart from a little wind chill factor. See you tomorrow. Good morning. This is day 4. We've got a bit of a cloudy day today. No sun anywhere. We've decided to have another crack at getting this leak sorted. And to that end, we're heading west to get ourselves into a calmer sea. West means less wind, and with less wind, the waves are a lot smaller. So we should be able to do that tomorrow. And hopefully then we'll be able to resume. To do this work, we've got to lock the rudder in place, and that means sails down. So the boat then turns beam on to the sea, and the bigger waves, the more we get tossed about. At the change of watch last night, Toby mentioned to me how the wind was extremely fickle, going up and down, backwards and forwards, and that carried on into my watch. And you can see here the strength going from about 12 to 16. At one point, Toby said it went up to about 19, 20, and then it comes right back down to 10 knots and up again and down again. And the direction as well was going up to about 60, 060, back down to about 030, back up, back down, and it's very unusual to have such a turbulent effect. So I looked at our chart to see where we were, and this green boat here is us. And if I zoom out, you can see we've got the Canary Islands up here, and if I just put that middle of the screen on there, that is showing that our bearing to the Canary Islands was 060, and that explains all the turbulence, because these islands are, like Madeira, very high, and they cast a wind shadow. But whilst we weren't being affected by the wind shadow, downstream of the islands there's also a lot of turbulence. If you've ever noticed a flag on a staff, you'll see it sort of ripples, and that is turbulence, with the wind dominating on one side at first and then the other side of the flagstaff. causing the sail to flap backwards and forwards. And the same thing happens off an island. So you'll have the wind coming that way, and then that way, and then that way, and it creates a great deal of turbulence. And that's what was going on with us. Well, good afternoon. It's been a busy day. Clouds have cleared to an extent. You can see some blue sky behind me, and also across over there. Made bread this morning. I'll send you a picture next time. We headed out west for a while, and quite surprisingly, the wind picked up. So first we put up the spinnaker, and then it was a bit too much for the spinnaker, so we furled the spinnaker, and then carried along. So the wind continued increasing, and put a reef in the main, and now we have one reef in the main, one reef in the jib. So here we have the reefing strop on the reef kringle. Nice, loose, topping lift. Not overdone on the halyard tension. Jib looks good in front of us. The only thing remaining is to take down the spinnaker, and I'll do that when I have somebody come up to relieve me, which will be 5 o'clock. And in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy the sun, the nice breeze, the nice temperature, the waves, the sailing, all the good stuff.